Does your offer to Caitlin still stand? And do you have a message for her if she's on the fence?
Yes, it does still stand. If she's on the fence, we could talk about anything that's concerning her. I think we will accommodate her in any way, shape, or form.
I've had a lot of fun, being in the spotlight and helping grow this game and move it forward, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But I think I know firsthand how talented this league is.
Caitlin Clark had a shot at becoming an instant multimillionaire at $10 million to be exact. That's what Ice Cube and the Big Three League put on the table to get her to join their ranks. But Clark said no. Yes, despite the fact that her WNBA salary isn't even close to what was offered, roughly $76,000 a year. She turned down that jaw-dropping payday. And now, people are asking, did she just make the biggest mistake of her basketball career? Let's break it down. Basketball is booming globally, and here in the US, it's more popular than ever, especially with new leagues like Ice Cube's Big Three gaining ground. The Big Three, co-founded by the rap icon and actor, features 3-on-3 action with former NBA stars and global legends. It recently sold its first franchise for a cool $10 million, proving there's real money in this growing league. And that brings us back to Caitlin Clark. She's not just another player, she's a phenomenon. Clark recently wrapped up one of the greatest college basketball careers ever. She shattered records, became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history, men or women, and lit up every court she played on. Her impact, massive. The 2024 NCAA title game between Iowa and South Carolina, featuring Clark, drew nearly 19 million viewers, the most watched women's college basketball game ever. Her style, electric. Her range, Steph Curry's. Her charisma, off the charts. Caitlin made basketball must-watch TV. People who had never cared about hoops suddenly became fans just to watch her play. That's why the Big Three came knocking with an unprecedented $10 million offer. They saw her star power and wanted her to help elevate their lag, even if it meant offering her a salary far higher than any current WNBA player earns. The deal, 2 years, $5 million per year. For perspective, the top WNBA salaries hover around $242,000. Clark could have made more in 1 month with the Big Three than she will all year in the WNBA. Ice Cube explained the move in an interview on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. He didn't just believe Clark could handle the Big Three's gritty style, he knew she was a box office goldmine. So, did Caitlin make the wrong call? It depends on how you see it. On one hand, she stayed true to the WNBA and the traditional path of building a legacy. On the other, she passed up a financial windfall that few athletes, especially women in sports, ever see. Only time will tell whether Clark's decision was about loyalty, legacy, or long-term vision. But one thing's for sure, when someone turns down $10 million to stick to their path, it speaks volumes about who they are in the game they want to change.
Looked at our guards over the years and the size of our guards and said, that's a position that if a female was to play in the Big Three, that would be a position that they would probably, of course, if she joined our league, it would lift the league to new heights.
Ice Cube offered Caitlin Clark a $10 million deal. It wasn't just about basketball, it was about business. The Big Three co-founder knew exactly what Clark could do for his league: bring in fans, boost visibility, and turn the Big Three from a niche product into a global phenomenon. Right now, the Big Three isn't your typical pro league. It's a fun, flashy 3-on-3 setup that thrives on its laid-back streetball-style energy. It's packed with former NBA talent and international names, offering fans a more personal and exciting version of the game. But with Caitlin Clark in the mix, that would have taken things to an entirely new level. Imagine this: a young superstar like Clark lighting up the court alongside, or even against, seasoned NBA veterans. It would have been something we've never seen before, a true spectacle, and Ice Cube believed she could deliver exactly that. Let's be honest, $5 million a year is a huge contract. Even in the NBA, not every player reaches that number. But Clark isn't just any player. Her magnetism alone could have earned the Big Three far more than what they'd pay her. From ticket sales to broadcast deals to social media buzz, it all would have skyrocketed, especially when fans get to watch a dynamic young guard raining threes over former NBA stars. Need proof the demand is real? Look at the 2024 WNBA season. Merch sales jumped by a staggering 500%. That spike, largely driven by one named Clark. Now imagine her name on Big Three jerseys, sneakers, or exclusive collectibles. The shelves wouldn't stay stocked for long. And don't forget, players like Joe Johnson, yes, the 2023 Big Three MVP, still compete in this league. So it's not just entertainment. These are high-level athletes. If Clark went toe-to-toe with them and held her own, it would only boost her legend and attract even more eyes to the league. Ice Cube was betting big, but it was a smart bet. He didn't just want a headline. He wanted to protect the investment by locking Clark into a deal that paid far more than she could earn overseas or in the WNBA. The big three would keep her rested, well paid, and focused solely on their court. But here's the twist. Clark's goals seem to go beyond the money for true competitors like her. The dream isn't just wealth, it's legacy. And for now, that legacy means pushing the WNBA forward, not sidestepping it. Still, Ice Cube hasn't given up. In an interview on the Pat McAfee show, he expressed hope that Clark could do both, play in the WNBA and the Big Three. Would it work? Could she really straddle both worlds? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. Clark's value goes far beyond numbers on a check. She's already changing the game wherever she decides to play.
8 weeks if you want to win a championship. 8 weeks if you plan on, not making the playoffs. So, we always sign players for the 10 weeks thinking they'll make it to the end.
It's a thing on paper. It actually could have worked. The Big Three season isn't long, and most games are played on weekends. That leaves weekdays wide open. Hypothetically, Caitlin Clark could have balanced both, dominating the W during the week and electrifying Big Three crowds on the weekend. Some even floated the idea that the WNBA might have adjusted the Indiana Fever's schedule to help make that happen. After all, Clark is the league's biggest star right now, and keeping her happy and in the spotlight is in everyone's best interest. But despite all the talk, it never happened. Clark officially chose to follow her WNBA dreams. No experiment, no crossover season, no Big Three appearance. She didn't even publicly comment on the offer. Instead, she quietly committed to the WNBA and never looked back. Now, it's fair to ask why. Why pass up $5 million for a part-time schedule in a league that isn't as physically demanding as the WNBA? She could have earned in months what it might take years to make in women's pro basketball. Yet, the answer might lie beyond the money, though Clark never addressed the situation directly. Insiders and analysts have offered some perspective. On her podcast, NBA 2K TV host Rachel Demeter pointed out that there are many potential reasons Clark may have passed. From branding considerations, to long-term goals, to loyalty to the women's game, Clark may see her future as one that helps reshape the WNBA, not step outside of it. She's not just trying to build a career, she's trying to build a legacy. And sometimes, legacy is worth more than any paycheck. Where she decides to play.
I feel like maybe at this point in time in her career, playing in the WNBA while simultaneously playing in another league, maybe at this point in her career is just a little bit too much to handle.
One of the key reasons Caitlin Clark likely turned down Ice Cube's massive $10 million offer, her schedule since March Madness kicked off. Clark has been running non-stop, playing high-stakes college games, going on media tours, shooting commercials, and now adjusting to life as a pro in the WNBA. There hasn't been a single break. No time to breathe, reset, or refocus on the two things that matter most to her, basketball and family. That constant grind caught up with her. Clark struggled early in the 2024 WNBA season. Her usual rhythm was off. Turnovers piled up. Shots didn't fall. But after the Olympic break, when she finally had a chance to rest, she came back stronger, dropping huge performances and helping turn the Indiana Fever into a real threat. That's so, why risk all that progress? On her podcast, NBA 2K TV host Rachel Demeter pointed out what many were thinking. Juggling two leagues might have been too much, even for a player of Clark's caliber. The Big Three in WNBA play different styles of basketball. Sure, the fundamentals are the same, but the rules and pace totally different, and switching back and forth between them could disrupt a player's rhythm, especially one still adapting to the pro game. Remember, even the jump from college to the WNBA was an adjustment for Clark. Imagine having to bounce between the WNBA and a streetball-style 3-on-3 format. That's a lot, physically and mentally. Then there's the issue of load management, a major concern for any elite athlete. The more games you play, the more wear you put on your body. For someone like Clark, who's already playing at full throttle, adding more games would only increase the risk of injury and potentially shorten her career. Let's not forget, Clark isn't just thinking about today's paycheck, she's thinking long-term. While her WNBA salary may not match what Ice Cube was offering, her endorsement deals do all the heavy lifting. She was already earning big money in college through NIL deals with brands like Gatorade, Nike and State Farm that totaled more than $800,000 before she went pro. Now, things have gone next level. Her new Nike deal alone is reportedly worth $28 million over 8 years. That's $3.5 million a year, just from one brand. Add in other partnerships, and she's likely making well over the $5 million Ice Cube offered, without even needing to suit up for the Big Three. And here's the kicker. She can keep this up for the next 10 to 15 years. If she stays healthy and consistent, Clark is on track to become one of the highest earning athletes in women's sports history, without ever stepping outside the WNBA. Plus, the media exposure she's getting in the WNBA is on another level. The Big Three is growing. Sure, but it doesn't have the national spotlight or cultural momentum that Clark is commanding right now in women's basketball. So in the end, it wasn't about turning down a payday, it was about protecting her future, maintaining her focus, and owning the moment she's building in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark didn't say no to $10 million, she said yes to legacy.